Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Well, that's a good story to tell, and it will resonate in the market, and it's very important, this kind of information, especially now with the DNA of NDA coming. So we've heard the findings, and across 8,000 respondents in 6 major markets, the conclusion is very clear. Car buyers rely upon and value broadcast radio in their cars. And that message is not only important because we believe it is a sector, it's powerful because it confirmed so clearly by car buyers themselves. And I'm very pleased to hear the first reactions of you. And Gregor, let me start with you. As a car manufacturer or CARIAD, what stands out for you most from the findings, from an automotive and user experience perspective?
Yeah, for us, it's really important that our work we put daily and yearly to improve the user experience, that it really shines, because the customer is expecting to have a ease of use, find the radio very prominent in the dashboard, so it's not like, where's my radio again? So that's a real effort also on our side to convince the bosses, no, it's not all the other audio sources. Radio is really important because it's used daily in every ride and really important for the user for all the reasons you just heard.
So, Charles-Emmanuel, what do these findings say about radio continuing role in information, trust, and public service?
Well, I think what's very interesting in this research shows that trust is, of course, very important, because we said that, and Sibyl's mentioned that radio is the continuity medium. That's in terms of crisis, it's where you go to know what to do. But to understand, to know what to do, you have to trust the source. And that's very important. If you don't trust the source, then you won't do what you're being told. And I think a key part of this trust comes from the ease of use. Radio is really reliable, but it's very easy to use. You push the button, it works. Every morning, you wake up with the radio. So it's very important that the ease of use and the accessibility of radio is really part of the same, it's continuity, but continuity is about trust, and trust is about continuity. So I think it's two parts of the same medal, and you should really think about radio as an easy to find and easy to use medium. That's how we will build trust, and then it's our role to make sure that what we say on the air is interesting, funny,
yes.
and then you can depend on us. But what's really a key feature of radio is that it's easy to use.
Well, yeah, that goes hand in hand with what you just said, actually. But Tobias, how is that finding for continuing strength of live radio for commercial radio?
I think there are like 3 main points for us as broadcasters. The first is to realize that this isn't a challenge, a potential future challenge for one broadcaster. It's an industry challenge. So I think it's really important to work together and unite as an industry, as we've done in Radio Ready, that you'll hear more about in an hour's time. Because I think it's important that we together show the value and importance, as you've done today, to car makers and to policymakers, that radio also continue to be easy to find and easy to use, as you said. I think the second point is on the broadcasters' metadata.
There you have it.
I think 2 years ago it was something that people talked about in the technical department. Now it's at a board level at Bauer, because obviously metadata is extremely important, especially in connected cars, as this is how radio will appear in the car. And I think if we ask car makers to invest millions in developing nice looking, cool entertainment system, then it is on us to ensure that the metadata that we provide is in the same quality, also to be attractive to the listeners in cars. And I think the third point is about collaboration with the aggregators like Radio Player. I think distribution and content goes hand in hand. So I think it is really important for us as broadcasters to engage with the aggregators, also to leverage all the future opportunities that we can have in connected cars.
Yes, yeah. I think it's very important what you just said about metadata. All the points, the 3 points, and we will have a radio ready session after this one. So after the break, I believe it is. So there it comes back. But metadata.
Stay tuned.
Sorry.
Stay tuned.
Yes, it's a bridge. It's a little bridge. It's it's a cliffhanger, I should say. And it also goes hand in hand with what you said about metadata. When you're off stage, you always say it's metadata through DAB and through IP. Yeah? So if I then look, Gregor, how should the industry think about balancing increasing audio choice and simplicity of safety while driving? Because it is an issue.
That's always an issue because, like in the past, you just had the radio, simple, turn it on, everything, no screen, no divergence. So that's with the increasing availability of different sources or different possibilities to entertain yourself in the car, audio and especially radio needs to be the easiest of all. So you need to have this one-click, one-stop option, and all the broadcasters and the OEMs and manufacturers shall work together, as we already do inside WorldDAB, to collab on the target of easy to use and safety in the usage of the radio, but also on the delivery of disaster warnings and so on. Because in the car, you can't ask someone else where the next flood is or what's coming up if there's an earthquake or something like this. It needs to be delivered to you so you can decide early or take another route, or even worse, if you're like sleeping in your camper van, that's still opportunities where we need to improve that. We also need to take the next step to put ASA also in the car, like, because if the truck driver is on a parking place or the camper van on the camping ground near a river, you want to be woken up to put yourself into safety. So that's really important.
Yeah, that is what automatic safety alert can do.
Yes.
It knows where you are and it wakes you up. That's
yes.
Okay. Yes, good. So thank you. And Charles-Emmanuel, I want to connect this to public value and safety. So how important is broadcast resilience and accessibility, and what should policymakers take from this research? Because that is the bridge we need to make.
Yeah, I think two things. First of all, as you said, broadcast is the reliable medium. It works when other things won't work, and that's what Sibyl mentioned. We take big experience from what happened in Ukraine, where radio was the only source of information available to the population to know where to go or where not to go, when to leave, when not to leave. So that's a very key value, and I think this fact that war is almost close, or very close from here, should really remind policymakers that it can happen and it is very important. But the other thing is that what this research shows is it's not only building systems for informing the public, it's also because the public wants it in their radio. The research shows that people expect to have radio in the car. So I think that shows that as a policy, making sure and making mandatory that radio is in the car is both of the interest of the public as a safety feature, but also in the interest of the public as an entertainment and information value. So I think it should really be clear that it's not something that we are forcing onto the public, is that the public demands it.
And then you talk about broadcast radio, because you can have radio through an app as well.
Yeah, and you can listen to radio everywhere, but when the network becomes saturated or when the network comes down, when you have lots of risk. You mentioned flood, but there is also cyber attacks. There's lots of other things that can happen.
Yep.
And broadcast networks are uniquely reliable. They, as a public broadcaster, we make sure that we have independent sources of energy. We have double networks. We make sure that the public can rely on us in time of crisis, and that's very important.
Yes.
Just to build on that, I think that was the same we saw in Portugal. Like a year ago, there was a big power outage. So the only way for the population to be up to date was listening to broadcast radio. So once again, a strong proof on the importance in times of crisis.
Yes. So that brings me to you, because in-car audio behavior is changing. And how do you remain radio strength? How should broadcasters respond to that?
I think obviously it's always important that we as broadcasters prioritize the content investment we do, because that is the foundation for radio, obviously. And I think we should ensure that radio continue to be easy to find and easy to use. And then I think obviously we should also as broadcasters look at all the opportunities that an IP environment will provide us. So I think really interesting for us at Bauer is Radio Player's project around app deep linking, right? So if we develop an Android Automotive app available in cars, if someone listens to one of our radio stations, let's say Magic Radio in UK, then if they want to have more about Magic Radio, which could be sub-brands, substations, or podcast, or catch-up shows, then they can activate the app via the hybrid radio. So I think, again, to my third point before, it is important also to leverage all the opportunities. So we should secure to continue to have broadcast radio available, but also look at all future opportunities.
Yeah, so what you're actually saying is that through broadcast you can enter this hybrid world and you go into an app environment of, in this case, a deep link from another station. That can be made possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that, of course, but I want to ask so people understand it is there. Okay, so that brings me to a closing. These 3 points stand out for me in discussion, because radio deeply valued because it's easy, trusted, familiar, and reliable. And secondly, in the dashboard, that strengths cannot be taken for granted. It's not always there. So prominence, findability, metadata, both on DAB and IP, voice. I just want to ask one more question on voice, because if you talk to the car and you say, "Hey Mercedes," or "Hey Audi, play me Radio 538," I know they're here. What happens? Does it go to broadcast?
In our system, we make sure first level is go to broadcast. If for whatever reason the reception is not there, then it will step to a possible hybrid alternative, or say it's not possible. But there's an additional topic coming back to the implementation. The systems need to know by phoneme how the station is actually pronounced, because like everyone in every location, in every country is pronouncing your station a little different.
Yes.
And that's the hardest part for the radio, because the broadcasting station wants to make sure that the radio knows those 5 or 10 different pronunciations, that the user actually get what he wants.
Yeah, that's why I think you said metadata is on board level. It's now not somewhere in the spelonke, as we say that in Dutch, but it's on board level. Is that the same for the public broadcaster?
Yeah, and it's on 2 levels. Is that actually, metadata is the key, because that's really a key differentiator for radio compared to, for example, for FM. And it's also a way to show and to build additional information for the public, especially in terms of crisis. So metadata is key and very important.
Yes. Well, thank you. The research gives strong evidence, and the task now is that this evidence goes into practical action. So that's what we're doing here, so that broadcast radio, and in particular DAB+, remains prominent, accessible, and reliable for drivers. So thank you, Gregor, Charles-Emmanuel, and thank you, Tobias, for your enlightenment.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Now, do we have any questions from the audience for our panelists? Yes. Do we have the microphone? Yeah, right. Would you get up?
Yeah. Hi. Thank you. So I'm Milo Serre from the French Association Ensemble pour le DAB+. And I just have a question regarding all that has been said on the importance of radio in cars. I just wanted to know if, for the three of you, if you support the extension of the obligation to have radio, FM and DAB+ in all cars, because we know that is one of the main subjects for the Digital Networks Act. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Sure.
Maybe Tobias can answer through.
I think
when you're
the
ready.
research proves why it is so important to continue to have radio in cars. So I think this isn't the radio industry saying we need to be there to survive. This is a user statement saying they believe radio have to be in cars. I think one of the challenges we face with part of the car industry, I'm not saying all car makers, but some car makers already state that it's important for them to monetize the entertainment in the car environment. So my concern would be if this becomes a monetization conversation at the car makers, especially outside Europe, which potentially could mean that they deprioritize radio because they can have other kind of entertainment to pay them to be in the entertainment system. I think that would be a disaster for the European population for all the reasons that we argued. And I think that is one of the arguments for why it is important also at a policy level to ensure that we have radio in cars in Europe.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think before it was a technology issue. We at WorldDAB we were keen to get DAB receivers into cars. Now the issue is not really getting DAB receiver versus FM receivers, is getting radio. And as I said, we really believe that, as you said, it's a demand from the consumers and it's a demand from the governments. So I think, yes, it should be included to make sure that it's a key element of safety in cars.
Yes. Thank you. I think, Milo, this answers your question.
Thank you. I really wanted to have the opinion of the three of them to know what they if they support it or not.
We have one more then.
Yeah.
Yes, for us, the car is moving, so you can't go for one or the other because you have to give the buyers or the car users all opportunities, because you have one country which is just in FM, the other country is already DAB only, so you can't go one or the other, because if you go to Norway for your vacation, it shall work, and if you go to another country which is FM only, it shall also work, because also in another FM only country you want this warning possibility to still stay alive in the future.
Any other questions?
Amazing. Do we have any others? I saw some hands there. Yes, please.
Yeah, hello, I'm Robert from Orban. What are your thoughts about when we think about hybrid radio, about the sound processing for the background when the radio is switching between FM, DAB, or maybe other sources? And do you think we have to rethink about the processing thing? So that, the processing is now mainly part of the station where the content is produced, of course. And the processors are located in the studio. Do you think it needs to be rethought that we have processing as a part of the radio, but in conjunction and in communication with the broadcasters to have their signatures, to nevertheless have their signature sound in the car, in the radio? Thank you.
Interesting question. Goes really deep. I don't know if there's anybody who wants. I think, I do understand.
I think I know a lot of things, but I'm definitely not an expert.
Yes, okay. So you want to say something
I've
on
played the arm race between Orban and Omnia and all the rest. You know, on the FM band, it was louder and louder and louder and louder. And if I know in the Netherlands it's
No, we
even
put
louder.
we put a stop
Yeah,
to that.
yeah.
Huh?
And in the
On
end,
the DAB.
but I think what's really important, of course, there must be consistency between when we're switching to FM to DAB. But what we find is that as DAB coverage is expanding, the radio sets receivers are switching less and less, because you can stay in France, for example. We cover almost 80% of all the highways. So if you're driving from Paris to Marseille, then back to Toulouse, then you will always stay DAB. So there is a thinking that maybe we should, there was some regulation in the Netherlands, there is no regulation in France. We should really think about the sound as, a differentiator for radio. And of course, each radio needs to have its signature sound, but it also needs to make sure that we use DAB as a differentiator of better quality.
Yes, what we've done in the Netherlands is we ended it at 14 LUFS. So not the processing we influenced, but the LUFS. So maybe that answers it for now, because it's quite deep. And it's a very nice subject, but not for everyone. So maybe not another question?
Yes, I saw another hand back there.
Jean-Marc Dubreuil from WorldDAB in France. I have a question for Gregor, actually. Take your hat as the Automotive Work Group chair. You mentioned ASA in cars. What is the process and what is the progress of the implementation of ASA in cars?
The progress is just starting, because the Automotive Working Group is starting to work with the technical committee, and we agreed together, let's first define the technology, because currently the technology was built up for the domestic and home receivers, and the next step is to find out what are the actual use cases in the car, like in the camper or in the truck or something like this, where people might sleep in their car. And if that's clarified on the technical level, so is it feasible, is it not feasible, what's needed, then we will take the knowledge we gained from working in collaboration with the technical committee and add additional topics to our user experience guidelines. We have a time frame in mind. ASA for cars already started. It's a technical committee task force, and I can't say how fast we progress, but hopefully next quarter we can see something. But it's also a lot of new use cases we really need to explore how to go forward.
Amazing. I think we have time for one more, in case anyone, yes?
Thank you. I'm Steve Martin from the BBC. The fastest growing car brand in Europe, I understand, was a Chinese one last year. What challenges does it present when an increasing number of cars on the roads here are designed in cultures that don't have the treasured relationship Europe has with radio?
Can I take this?
I think there.
Because we had a very big discussion on user experience in the steering board the day before, and that's a very big challenge, because if the radio system is that different in the different regions of the world, like in the US, in China, and in Europe, for us it's like 3 major big different areas, and this is where we can give a big add-on with our user experience, where the broadcasting side, the current OEMs are really working together and putting in this effort that everybody could actually design a good radio, especially with this mind of easy access and so on, because I just had a rental car again, and I needed 3 steps to go to the lower decks to actually find the radio, because I had to go to Bluetooth, then have a look there, and then find the source change menu, and then find radio. So no button on the higher level. That was really, really, really strange, because yeah, I would expect there is like a nice radio button or a antenna symbol or whatever, so I can directly tune it. But yeah, it's not an expectation everybody has or every manufacturer has, and we really need to work towards that. This prominence shall be part of the minimum requirements or of the mandatory information that
Any car.
yeah, it shouldn't not only be there, but also be discoverable, as we thought and as we found out in the study, because if you can't find it, you can't use it.
Yes.
And if I can
Amazing.
just
If
add,
there's
just one point is that I really think that European regulations and the ECC making compulsory to have a radio receivers will make it. I think you're right. Some cars are coming from countries where broadcast radio is not very important. If they see that in order to get their cars in Europe, then they must have the checklist, you know, like
Yes.
the headlamps need to be this, you know, if it's part of a technical requirement, then it's going to be easier to make sure that what, for example, you did in the UK with the check mark to make sure that there is some quality requirement is going to be much more easier to address this issue if it's compulsory, because it's going to be part of a package that you need to have in your car in order to sell it in Europe. And I think that's very important.
Yeah, and that's why radio ready matters as well.
Absolutely, and I can only echo what you're saying, because we know for a fact that radio doesn't play the same role in the Chinese society as it does in Europe and Australia and US. So that is why it is so important also to politically ensure that there is a broadcast radio, whether it's FM or DAB, and then it's easy to find and easy to use.
Yeah, so legislation helps, but also this kind of meetings help so that they become aware, and also the meetings that people that I know that are in this room have with Chinese manufacturers, also to talk about the importance of broadcast radio and why it is important. And this all adds up. Thank you for your question.
Thank you so much for the lively discussion. We are now headed into a much anticipated part of today's agenda, our first coffee break. Please fuel up, do some networking, and make sure to visit some of our exhibitors.